going, get Lillard going, get those guys going. I think that you're right. I think that they can be that team that 6 games we could be talking about the Portland Trailblazers in the finals this year. It's unheard of because of what we've seen the Warriors do year after year after year. But hey, it's a possibility right now.
Yeah, and how crazy would that be? Portland versus Milwaukee in the NBA Finals. I'm sure the NBA offices will love those 2 big major media markets. I mean, hoop junkies like us will watch it regardless, but I'm sure people around the country would be like, where's Milwaukee? And can somebody go, Siri, find Portland on the map? I'm sure. So that's our preview of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Just some news and notes because the NBA never stops. We saw just today, John Beilein, former head coach of the University of Michigan, was announced as the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Cleveland Cavaliers go to the Big Ten's coach. Don't forget, he had Michigan in the national championship game a couple years ago. John Beilein, one of the better coaches in the country in college basketball, taking the leap to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We also saw the Los Angeles Lakers, how the mighty have fallen. Frank Vogel, and you can tell by the sound of my voice how happy with that hire I am, was named head coach of the Lakers, and he also added a guy by the name of Jason Kidd to his staff. So we have the Cavaliers getting a brand new head coach along with the Los Angeles Lakers. What are your thoughts on these 2 new coaches, Pat?
Well, when he was with Indiana, he had a 58% win percentage, and when he was with Orlando, he had a 33% win percentage. So I think Vogel is a guy that is there to kind of get him over the hump, but I think Jason Kidd is the long-term guy. I think they like his knowledge of the game. I mean, he was a triple-double guy, so he understands the whole game. But I also think Vogel kind of got the short end of the stick in Orlando. I just think that, he just wasn't a good fit there in Orlando. We saw what he did. He had 56 wins in the 13-14 season or whatever with Indiana. Took him to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's true.
That was before. Yep. I think that was before the injury to Paul George.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
So with that Indiana team, he did great. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in Orlando. They got some talent. They got some young talent, I think, in Los Angeles. And who knows? We got some free agents that still could be there too. This time or next year or whatever. So. I'm not thrilled about the Vogel hire, but I'm also not like, oh no, this is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Yeah, I just think that they could have done a little bit more.
I think Jason Kidd being added to your coaching staff will help you with Lonzo Ball, point guard to point guard, for sure. I can see the advantage of that. What are your thoughts on John Beilein going to the Cavaliers?
Personally, very few college coaches come in the NBA and are successful right off the bat.
I think about Rick Pitino.
I was about to say Rick Pitino was right off the top of my head. Yep. But, every now and again, the coach in, I can't think of his name. The guy, he just came up from college 2 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now.
How am I drawing a blank on that?
I know.
You're
the college basketball guy. I'm not a college basketball guy, but I'm sure I'll remember it here in a little bit. But it just doesn't work out that often for them, is basically what I was getting at. So, I don't know, and he's up there in age too.
66 years old.
Right, and they gave him
the new 50, I guess.
Right, and they gave him a 5-year contract.
Yeah, I guess that tells me this is the end of the road for John Beilein, meaning when his contract's up, he's retiring, because you don't give somebody that age 5 years. But the Lakers couldn't give Tyronn Lue 5 years? Just saying.
Right. I mean, you look at there are some, look at Larry Brown, you look at Popovich, you're talking about Hubie Brown, coaches that were a little bit older in age.
Hubie Brown, I forgot about that.
Coaches that
Memphis.
were older that did well, but it just doesn't work out sometimes for that, and I think more teams are going towards the younger. Brad Stevens is another guy. So, I don't think it's the perfect hire, but I don't think it's the wrong hire again for Cleveland. I think he's somebody that can take that young group. We've seen what he did at Michigan. He's done well at Michigan. They get they get far each year in the tournament, so we know what he can do. But coaching teenagers and coaching adults is a little bit different.
That part. Yeah, I'm a kind of a wait-and-see approach when it comes to Mr. John Beilein. We'll have to see. Also, tomorrow, ahead of the basketball game, we have the NBA Draft Lottery at 8:30, a.k.a. the Zion Williamson Sweepstakes. So I know tonight's going to be a very nervous night for New York Knicks fans, Chicago Bulls fans. I know you guys are amped up and ready to see what's going to happen there. What are some of your thoughts on the lottery? Any predictions, Pat? Who's getting the top pick?
I don't know. I don't even know I don't honestly know my question is, and this I guess is a question to you, is how would you feel if the Wizards got that top pick and then we got Zion Williamson? How do you think he fits into the team and the chemistry that this team has? Just because, we know the New York Knicks, we know what's going to happen there.
I think if that happened, as crazy as it sounds, and the Wizards got the top pick, I think Zion Williamson fits in perfectly. You got Bradley Beal in the backcourt. You need to get somebody to be your point guard, assuming that John Wall won't be there for a majority of the season. I think you got Thomas Bryant in the post, so Zion Williamson's your 3/4. I think he fits in fine. I think that's a really good pickup for him. Somebody athletic that they can run with, that can get in the wing. He's also a box office hit. The Capital One Arena is going to be full if the Wizards end up getting him.
I was actually the reason I mentioned that is because I was actually watching a show earlier. I believe it was First Take, and their question was, "Where's the best fit for Zion?" And somebody brought up a great point that I didn't even think about: the Atlanta Hawks. You talk about John Collins. You talk about
Trae
Young, and fitting in there, and the offense that they run, just up the court, fast paced, because that's where he dominates.
Yeah,
obviously we know he's not. Can he shoot? Yes,
better than Ben Simmons already.
Shots fired.
I'm not letting it go.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of shots fired, we're talking about news and notes. Tell me you saw. I believe it was Enes Kanter that posted the thing on there, and it was like a thing for the pre-sale tickets for the Nuggets in the NBA or the Western Conference Finals, and he posted on there, "Refund, please."
Guy's savage, man. He's a savage.
I was like,
he's one of the better follows on social media for sure.
Yeah,
I would definitely have to agree with that. Well, man, we are pumped up and ready to go for the conference finals. What else do you got for news and notes, Pat?
The only other thing, we didn't talk much about it, is Porzingis. He was at that club in Europe. We don't really haven't much information about it, except for the fact that it sounds like he was sucker punched in a club. Whether it was some guy that was a Knicks fan or what it was, they just said he was sucker punched. There's a video of him coming out.
I saw the video.
His shirt's all torn and he's got blood on him. But other than that, we don't really know much about that situation at this point. You talk about the draft. We talk about the 76ers, and we talked about that earlier. 7 players since 2013 drafted in the lottery by that team. They've won 2 playoff series in that time frame. 2 series.
Trust the process for real.
Right. And the reason I'm making that, bring that up or whatever, is just because it's great to get that top pick, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna make.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Teams use those picks to bring other players in. Teams use those picks to build on their franchise, of course. But hey, we saw what the Cavaliers did too. We talked about that just before the game. Anthony Bennett.
Where are you? Anthony Bennett?
Oh my gosh.
Andrew
Wiggins.
Mr. Inconsistency. Right. Where are you at now?
Traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're talking about he could be traded again this year.
Oh, wow. Really?
Just see. They don't know if he's the fit there, in Minnesota or not. So who do we trade? Do we trade Karl Anthony Towns or do you trade Wiggins? You trade Wiggins.
Yeah.
It's not even a question to me. There's definitely going to be some interesting players switching teams after the season's over. But hey, we're here now. 4 teams. Game 1 tomorrow. Cannot wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're with you guys every week giving our breakdown in the series as well. As always, make sure you catch us on nutsandboltsports.com. If you can't catch us there, any podcast platform that you use, just search Buckets and Dimes and you can find us. We want to hear from you guys. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Buckets and Dimes. Any kind of questions you want to have for the mailbag, just shoot us those questions. We'll make sure we include them on the show. As always, I am Joe Cardoza. He's Patrick Hillwig. Until next week, peace.